Welcome to the SeizeYourBusiness.com podcast and video blog. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law, joined by my co-host Jim Waszak.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
And Jim, what are you doing these days?
Well, we're selling supplemental insurance. We're doing some comedy. We're promoting people using video. So a lot of interesting things going on. Thank you.
Great. Our guest is Jim Elliot from Diveheart. We're going to talk today about how business owners can work with local charities to, I suppose, cross-promote or find mutual benefit. So thanks so much for being with us here today,
It's
Jim.
wonderful to be with two wonderful guys.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Well, they couldn't make it, so you got me and Kevin.
So tell us about Diveheart and what you guys are about.
Well, Diveheart's a 501c3 nonprofit. We help children, veterans, and others with disabilities build confidence, independence, and self-esteem. And we use zero gravity in swimming pools to do it. And we also do open water stuff. But the main thing is not really about scuba diving. It's about helping unrealized human potential, I believe, in people with disabilities. There's a lot of sedentary activity, a lot of people that are depressed, and I think if we can take that unrealized human potential and create a paradigm shift, and now it's not Johnny in a wheelchair anymore, it's Johnny the scuba diver, I think then we can point them towards things like coral reef restoration, marine biology, oceanography, and make them good stewards of the environment. And we have polio. Obviously, we're Rotarians. Polio is a big, campaign for Rotary. And we have a young lady who, at 16, in a Shriners Hospital therapy pool, we got her in the water. She has polio. And now she's an instructor, in her 20s. In Florida, so she's getting a paycheck, right? So if you can help the individual, you help the environment, and get a paycheck, you're helping the economy. That's a win-win-win. Yeah. And my background's media, so I'm all about collaborating with businesses, and I think for-profit businesses, if you can do what is now known as conscious capitalism, working hand in hand with a nonprofit in some way, shape, or whatever you like to do or whatever your interest is, or whatever touches your heart, I think that's really important these days to make a difference. And that'll be a differentiator between your business and another. Yeah. And for Diveheart, I've been able to take everything I learned when I was with the Chicago Tribune, WGN Radio, and I helped start up CLTV News, and I use all those skill sets to help bring Diveheart to where it is. And I've been doing this 20 years, and we incorporated Diveheart as a 501c3 back in 2001. So this is our 16th year, knock on wood. Yeah. And we've had some awesome collaborations with businesses.
So let me ask you a question about that. We see, of course, IBM is sponsoring this and General Motors, but there's a lot of smaller businesses who would maybe like to support or work with a charity or get some PR from it. How do they go about it? What would be the steps they take?
Well, the easy button right now, thanks to Kevin and O'Flaherty Law, is basically join the Diveheart O'Flaherty Law Challenge, corporate challenge. And what that entails is, what I do is I train instructors and divers all over the world to work with people with disabilities. And some of the things that I teach them, I brought from blind skiing. I've been teaching and guiding blind skiers since the 80s. My oldest daughter's blind. And what we'll do, for example, one of the skills we'll do is we'll do a blind empathy training. So we'll blindfold you, and on land we'll run you around and have you touch stuff. And it's amazing the things that you notice that you didn't notice before. When you're blind, even you can tell when you're in a larger room, or you have no idea whether you're going from tile to carpet unless someone tells you, and you can stumble. Going up and down stairs can be scary. So there are things that we do. Now we do this in the water, right? We get to do this underwater. Okay. and what we do is the very first class I taught when I started doing this was at Good Samaritan Hospital, and it was called scuba therapy. And I would bring people in the water, and we didn't teach them a bunch of crazy skills, a few basic things, but didn't even put fins on them, basically, and it taught them how to breathe and recover the regulator and things like that. But breathing is a big part of it. I mean, just breathing in and out. And then we would have them close their eyes, and we would have them just listen to their breathing and feel themselves in the warm water. And in diving, the sweet spot is called your astronaut moment. And that's when you breathe in, you go up, and when you exhale, you go down. So if we get you weighted properly, we can do that in a swimming pool, we can do that in the ocean. It really doesn't matter where you are, whether you're 5 feet underwater or 100 feet. and the gravity is very much like the moon. Neil Armstrong was interviewed, and he said the coolest gravity that he's ever experienced was the moon gravity. Yeah. Inside the spaceship, he's chasing his toothpaste, right? On Earth, of course, we have to deal with our own weight. But on the moon, you've seen pictures of him jumping up and then slowly coming back down. Well, he's using his muscles to jump up. Yeah. I teach people who are incomplete quadriplegics to do it all with their breath, or amputees who have no arms and no legs. When they breathe up, they go breathe in, they go up. When they exhale, they go down. And so what we do is we take some of those skills that we teach instructors and people that are learning to work with people.
The empathy skills.
The empathy skills, yeah. And then we basically do that in the pool, have people work together as teams, because diving is very much a buddy and a team effort. So we're doing this corporate team challenge, and we're asking companies if they want to get involved. And this is a great way. And we think that if we reach out to some business media, we should be able to pull in some business media, and the companies that are involved are going to get press. I mean, it's going to work that way. And associating with the charity is just, that's why people hire Michael Jordan, right? It's the association with a champion. And when you associate with a charity like Diveheart or Special Olympics or, Make-A-Wish, you get certain street cred that they've earned over years. And that's what we hope to give to our for-profit partners, regardless of how large they are.
So what do you say to the guy who's, his business is fairly new, he's not making a lot of money, so I can't really afford to do that, and, I can't really be away from the business. How can he get involved? Or can he?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 100 YouTube videos. We have NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams. CNN's done a bunch of pieces. Dr. Oz's film crew was just down in the Keys with us. Last Friday, ABC TV here in Chicago was at the Vaughn Center in Aurora doing a piece on our veterans program. So we do stuff with kids, adults, and vets, and basically sharing, you can adopt us basically like Kevin did and make us your charity of choice. Together, then we market virtually. Okay, you can't get out of the office. You're married to the desk. Just simply say, Jim, I'd like to work with you and help you do outreach and education.
What does that feel like from the charity's perspective? Because I've known you for years, but I didn't come to you with this until I thought I had something valuable to give, because I'm sure everybody wants to be associated with charities. And I was stunned at how up for the idea you guys were, and how supportive of the idea you were, which made me think we probably could have gotten something going, years ago. But what are ways, I think if I'm thinking from the business owner's perspective, sure, I'd like to partner with every charity out there, but I have to have something of value to contribute. So what does that look like from the charity's perspective? How do you fit the pieces together?
Yeah, I think it depends on the business. Okay, you might have a child who's blind. The very first thing I did when I was at WGN Radio is I joined the Lions Club, because they help people who are visually impaired. And I put together the WGN charity softball team, and we played the police in town and stuff like that. And I think if you have something that's close to your heart, I think if you follow your heart, you can't go wrong. So if you have a soft spot for veterans, because maybe my dad was a disabled veteran, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do. You should look at those charities. You should vet those charities. We hire an accounting firm to audit our financials, because it's very important to have everything transparent. And I don't draw a salary. In fact, this year, my training income, I only get paid when I teach instructors. I'm donating back to Diveheart, because a few years ago we quit doing events, golf outings and things like that, and we're not, because we're trying to build this deep warm water therapy pool that we talked about.
As good a time as any. Tell us about this pool, because this is something you've been talking about for years, and it's finally coming to fruition.
Yeah, we realized that when we were doing research with university medical centers all over the country. So doctors from John Hopkins went with one of our teams, and they found that if you get deep enough, there's an extra output of serotonin in the human body. Really? Well, during the pilot study, that helped with pain management, and it helped with PTSD symptoms. So the veterans on that trip, 80% of their symptoms were alleviated. So we know it helps with that. We have guys, second day of a dive trip in a wheelchair, they roll up in a wheelchair, they go, I've been in chronic pain 10 or 15 years. This is the first time I'm pain-free since my injury. How long does it last? You get immediate pain relief, for a day or two. But if we can dive with you for like a course of a week, you can be pain free up to 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So you got PTSD, you got pain relief, and then we did the first study on autism and scuba therapy with Midwestern University. Pressure, anyone who knows anybody with autism, and 1 out of 45 boys have autism. You know, and I think overall 1 out of 68 kids, I think, have autism.
That's such a high number.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is.
Well, pressure's a therapy for kids with autism. So they have weighted blankets, they have pressure vests. Yeah. When we get them underwater, it does a few things. One, it eliminates surface distractions. Now they don't have sounds that are distracting them. So it helps them focus. The ambient pressure as you go under increases as you go down. So they have this pressure that soothes them. And then they also, it's the coolest thing in the world. I mean, they're in zero gravity. They're learning how to be an astronaut. And then we take photos and video. We send it home with them, you know, and now they're like rock stars. It's like, what'd you do this weekend? I was scuba diving. They're like, wait a minute, you have autism. I mean, it's like, how do you do that? And it's like, yeah, check out my Facebook page, right? And so now it's a cool factor. And then they go, you know what, if I can scuba dive, what else can I do? And they begin to focus on other things, right? It's like, well, if I can scuba dive, maybe I can do this or that. And that's the cool thing is it challenges other people. And when people see the documentaries and the stories that we have, it might be on the other side of the country. And they go, wow, you know what? If that person can do that, I can do that. When I was at WGN Radio, I had buddies of mine say, you know, I saw your blind daughter skiing, and I was always afraid to take on this challenge in my life.
Right.
If your blind daughter can ski, I could do this. And I went, wow, that's kind of cool. It's a ripple effect that touches other people's lives. So for every person with a disability, if we can turn them like that and create that paradigm shift, we can inspire a whole group of people around them. Imagine if we had 10 million people that we got in the water and sent them out with all types of disabilities, and they went out into the world, and family and friends and coworkers and neighbors saw them now taking on other challenges and doing things. I mean, imagine the positive karma and flow that it would create. And that's ultimately my goal, is just like rescuing the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
well, you got a big job ahead of you.
Well, you know, it's one day at a time.
Yeah.
I heard somebody once say that 90% of success is showing up. So if I show up 7 days a week and work hard.
Well, you know, and I think that the way you describe it, in the sense you mean it, disability can be very broadly defined, like perhaps, you know, women who've been abused in a way have an emotional disability. So it can be beneficial for multiple kinds of groups.
Absolutely, yeah. I am talking right now to a group that works with young people with obesity issues. And I have people with disabilities who have kids with disabilities who go, you know, that's not a disability. That's a choice. And I go, you know, I don't think so. I think that's a situational disability. I think emotionally something happened to that person where they're soothing themselves with food or whatever, and they don't care for whatever reason about their appearance or whatever. And I think that there's a way to touch that group and to change them. So we're talking about doing a documentary with a bunch of folks from this organization that I just connected with. But you asked about the pool, and the reason we want to build a pool is we want to replicate what we found in open water in a confined warm water environment where it's safe. Because right now, if I certified you as a diver and I gave you both cards, you could go out and dive, even though we might recommend you only go to 60 feet. You could go to 130 feet, and that's pretty deep. And the only place you could do that right now is in open water. You could go into a quarry or a lake or the ocean, and as a brand new diver, that's scary.
Scary. Yeah, sure.
So that's why we want to have a pool to build confidence for people, as well as do all the research we want to do.
So how deep will that pool be? Do you know yet, or?
Well, we thought we wanted a 40-foot pool till the Hopkins study was done. The VA at Hines VA in Maywood sent the proposal all the way to Washington. It languished in Washington. And then Hopkins study came out. We realized we needed a 130-foot pool. And technically 5 atmospheres underwater, which is the maximum depth for recreational scuba, is 137 feet in fresh water. So about a year and a half ago, in Italy, they built a 137-foot pool. Well, you know, if the Italians build a 137-foot pool, we have to build
Yeah, we can't
100.
let them
At least 100.
So it's going to be a 150-foot pool.
Oh, super.
Yeah, beyond
Okay.
130 becomes technical diving, and that allows us to generate more income through a variety of revenue streams like technical diving, commercial diving, and stuff like that. So we've got identified probably about 100 revenue streams for this facility, and now this week we're actually hoping to nail down some property in Aurora and with a developer, and keep your fingers crossed, knock on wood. And once we can make everything public that the village city knows about it, Aurora is the second largest city in Illinois, and they the mayor knows about the program, and I think that if we can, all we need to do is say this is where we are, and this is who we have behind us, blessing us, then we can run out and try to raise some significant dollars to build this facility, which will be the world's first really deep warm water therapy pool for research, rehab, education, training, and really to provide vocational opportunities for people not just with disabilities, but people of all abilities.
Yeah, sure. Well, that sounds great.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I want to, before we run out of time here, I want to circle back to our topic a little bit. I know you and I are working together on a lot of things, but I'm sure you've been around doing this for a long time. What are some other examples of local community businesses you've partnered with to kind of achieve some common goals? Or, have you done stuff like that before where you've found mutually beneficial ways to work with businesses?
Sure, absolutely. Ballydoyle's in Downers Grove. Phil made us his golf, the charity for his golf outing several years in a row. We went in there and he gave us a special deal on doing a fundraiser there. When we did fundraisers, that's one way. Rim Logistics, one of the 50 fastest growing companies in Illinois. I'm in a Vistage group with the president and CEO, and they have made us their charity of choice. So they helped us at Growth Fest, right? They provided, I think, 30 or 40 rim volunteers for that event. So it helped Rotary indirectly through Diveheart, and they were able to leverage that in their company. And of course, we promoted that, and Rotary promoted that. So you get a lot of positive spin, I think, when you are able to collaborate like that.
So the way we, the first contact we started on when we started partnering a little bit was, we sat down and had a meeting. And we basically said, all right, here's our strengths and weaknesses. Here's what we can do with our marketing team. Here's what could help us. What do you need as an organization? How can you take advantage of that? Is that the best way? If I'm a business owner and I've got a charity that's near and dear to my heart, and I want to start forming a deeper partnership, what's the best way to approach the charity and find a way to get your feet wet, starting to form a partnership?
So I think different charities have different levels of sophistication. I mean, luckily, I had a lot of experience in the media business and in the news editorial and advertising and marketing side. So when you come to me, I want to know what your goals are. I want to know who your customer is and what you want to try to achieve. And once I identify all those needs and what you think you want to do, then I try to figure out how to plug my product, in this case is Diveheart. When I was at WGN Radio, it was like, how does my radio station, how do my demographics match up with your goals and your needs? And it's the same thing you do in any business with any customer. You're selling a product, whether it's direct to the consumer or it's to another business. You need to identify your customer's needs and see how your product or service fits with that. It's the same thing with the charity. You do some research on the charity, go online, say, hey, I want to do something with Diveheart. I look at them, I go, wow, they serve kids. We're into kids, or they serve vets, or they work with people who have cerebral palsy, or this, that. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different. Oh my God, they're doing research. Well, you know what? We're in the medical field. We want to tie into the research and help grow that part of the business, or. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, but it's the same way you approach a business, and the same way you would sell a client or present your product to a client, or
Well, Jim, this is your second time being with us. You did a podcast with us probably about 2 years ago when we first started. Right, so right. If any of our listeners or viewers are really kind of enjoying learning about Diveheart, go check out one of those early episodes. It was in one of the first 20 or so we did. So thank you for sharing your story and for everything you're doing in the community.
And we want to remind everyone to join the corporate challenge, right?
Yes,
Call the Flaherty Law. Find out how.
Yeah, that we'll have information about that on our website. How can people find Diveheart? I know it's right on your shirt, diveheart.org.
I try not to make it too difficult.
Yeah.
Last night I went to a Tribune WGN broadcasting thing, and I walked in and I had my suit coat and I had this on under it. And they go, Jim. I go, hey, it's all about branding.
Right. That's right.
You guys taught me how to do it.
Yeah.
So just diveheart.org, info@Diveheart. Say, hey, I want to get involved in the corporate challenge. I want to sponsor a team. How do we do it? Just contact us. We'll get all the information to you, and then we'll start doing it.
You guys are also looking for volunteers, sponsors, board members.
We do. Yeah, we want all those volunteers, donors, and board members and participants. We don't charge for what we do. So if you know of a loved one or you know someone in your neighborhood or that could benefit from what we do, go to the media kit. When you click on media at diveheart.org, go to the media kit. I mean, NBC Nightly News, CNN, PBS did a documentary. I've done a TED Talk. I've done 2 TED Talks. I mean, there's a lot of great video on there. You could just watch, pictures worth 1,000 words. Just watch some of this stuff and don't listen to me. Listen to the people with disabilities that are going, this changed my life. This is freedom. Some people have tried to commit suicide and this has turned them. And, you just got to do that. We do it one person at a time, but that's the way to do it. Look at see what we do. See if we're a match. I'm happy to talk to anybody. You can contact me at info@Diveheart goes right to us. You can also call our office at 630-964-1983, and that'll go to Tina Marie Hernandez, our executive director, and she'll then send you my way.
Well, thanks, Jim.
Super.
Great to have you back.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
for listening.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.